Oh, is it that time of year already? Hello everyone, I'm Forum BX257, your friendly neighborhood 1980s and 90s G.I. Joe toy reviewer. And this is my yearly channel update video, where I'll be talking about any news that's going on with my channel, my upcoming reviews, my toy haul for the year, and I'll be asking you some questions. But actually, I want to turn that last one around. I want you to ask me some questions because this is my 10th anniversary of doing videos on YouTube, and I have over 10,000 subscribers. So in order to thank you for that, I want to answer your questions in an upcoming video. Now, I do apologize sincerely to any of my regular viewers who are looking forward to this particular review, but for the last couple of years, I was actually visiting Toys R Us here in Canada and doing a video review of their stock. Now, I determined that last year would be the very last year that I would do that particular type of video, and it sort of coincided with the closing of Toys R Us in the US, and it kind of led to a somewhat clickbaity, possibly misunderstood title. But I am really determined not to do it this year because, well, quite frankly, the types of viewers who come to my channel are expecting retro G.I. Joes and not current stock on Toys R Us. So while it was interesting that it was attracting a different type of viewer, those new viewers were not getting anything else out of my channel. And I don't think that was fair to either types of viewers. However, if you are looking forward to seeing what Toys R Us stock was here at the end of 2018, I will happily guide you to Michael Mercy's channel. He did an excellent video on what was available here in Canada. Oh, and speaking of guiding my viewers to other people's channels, last year I did my hopes and dreams of what the brand new G.I. Joe Ultimate Edition by Mark Bellomo would be. And when I finally got my hands on the third edition, well, I'm not going to say I'm disappointed because, again, I can highly recommend this book very easily. But there's just so few changes that I was hoping there would be from the second edition to this new third one that, honestly, I don't think a follow-up video or follow-up review is going to be really necessary. However, if you really want to see what's in this book and the few changes that have been made, I highly recommend Hooded Cobra Commander 788's video on the subject. And now for the actual bit of channel news, is that I'm upgrading my thumbnails. Now, you might be thinking that, well, what's so newsworthy about that I have to mention it specifically? And that is, well, over the course of, well, years, people have been telling me to, well, do something about my thumbnails because they are awful. Now, normally, I just put, the toy in a blank background and have it as a big visual cue as to what this video is about. But as a lot of people have pointed out, it looks very unprofessional. And as the thumbnail is really the gateway into my videos, a lot of people just thought that, the videos would be unprofessional. Me just, fooling around with a toy and, not really giving as much information or not putting as much production value into the videos that I actually do. And a lot of people who had actually just, given me a chance despite the thumbnail were often really surprised. Now, when I was doing my Battle Force 2000 videos, those were really compressed. So it actually kind of spurred me on to do, some proper thumbnails with, at least a title of what was in the video right there in the thumbnail. So that's what I'm going to be doing. But I'm going to be going back and changing some of the thumbnails and some of the old existing videos. That's one of the things that I was actually planning on doing last year. I was planning on restarting my cartoon reviews. A couple of years ago, I actually did a whole series. I pretty much finished the Sunbow animated G.I. Joe TV series. But the thing is that Hasbro actually dinged me for intellectual property, so I had to remove all of those videos. Now, to be fair to Hasbro, well, I mean, it is their intellectual property, and they can see fit to, dig me on those if they want to. And I'm actually glad that it was Hasbro who had contacted me directly and not Hasbro through YouTube. Because when YouTube has a problem with your videos, they ding the entire channel. And that's what I was really afraid of when I was really thinking about restarting these videos. And that's maybe why there were a couple of pauses last year in my upload schedule, because I was actually thinking of making a brand new separate channel just to do these cartoon reviews. And not only cartoon reviews, because you might be thinking, well, that would be a fairly short amount of content over the years, but there's like 155 of these cartoon episodes between the Sunbow animated series as well as the Deke animated series. And then there's also ancillary products like this, the G.I. Joe Field Manual, which is the animation style guides. I could be reviewing those, as well as doing the live action movies. I could even be doing videos on those and any other types of video programs, even stuff that I don't generally watch, like G.I. Joe Renegades or G.I. Joe Sigma 6 or, stuff like that. But I've really lost confidence in doing that, so I'm still looking for a solution on what to do. I'm following Hasbro's and YouTube's policy as much as I possibly can in doing these, but if even doing screen caps, a particular section of their videos, is enough for them to take notice of me, then I don't really know what else to do in order to make these particular videos happen. If you're wondering where the wall of cards that normally is behind me is gone, don't worry, it will return. I just have these posters out just for the moment, just to air them out, because they were a recent purchase, and as you know, sometimes if you're buying old stuff, it sits in somebody's basement until you buy it. So they do smell a bit musty, so I kind of left them out just to air out. And if you're wondering, these are really, really large posters, and they're actually kind of rare posters at that, and kind of unusual. As a matter of fact, they were a mail away in Canada in 1984. Well, actually, there's the English version of that. Canada being a bilingual country, there's always English and French in all of our stuff. And it's very unusual because these are actually 1983 posters, but they're only offered in 1984 over here. And these actually started off as retail posters in the US in 1983. And well, as it seems to suggest, they weren't very popular in the US and got dumped into the Canadian market the following year. These are very unusual posters. Not only are they gigantic at like, 30 inches by 40 inches. I can't find frames for these things, at least not at retail. I would have to custom order 2 different frames for them. And these are not made out of paper. They're actually made out of plastic. I think somebody on the forums, I think His Tank or Yojo forums, actually refers to these things as garbage bag material. And they're not wrong. But the fact of the matter is that these large posters are actually made by a company called High Flyer, which normally makes kites. As you can see, this is the type of print which I kind of like. It's very reminiscent of the 1980s kind of poster and cheap novel cover type artwork. And now for the moment I bet you've all been waiting for, this year's toy haul. Even though I'm trying to still expand my 1980s vehicle line, a lot of the figures I'm getting are from 1990s, such as this 1990 Dodger figure from the Sonic Fighters line. And this is a 1991 Lowlight figure, or Lowlight version 3. I've always really liked the idea of this figure because his color scheme really matches that of the Night Force figures from 1988 and 89. And he doesn't disappoint. He's actually a really nice figure. Comes with not too many accessories considering the year he came out. However, more outrageous is this guy like 1991 Mercer, or Mercer version 2, who is nothing like Mercer version 1, who himself was kind of an outrageous figure. Of course, he has the spring-loaded missile launcher and gimmicks and stuff like that. So I actually finished my collection of Air Commandos gliders and figures, and this is the first series with the 4 gliders and figures, and I actually have the second series with just the 2 of the 2 gliders and 2 figures. And I do have to admit, this is a very expensive line, especially for what you're getting. It's just like these basic plastic gliders and some figures, which are very minimal, as most driver figures were. And I am sort of glad that I actually started this collection with SkyMate, because he's the hardest figure to find. He's also one of the most expensive. I don't think he's the most expensive, but he's up there simply because his accessories are really small and fragile. So he's really hard to complete. And it gave me the incentive to get the rest of the line here, which I really admit, I do really like these. It's just rather unfortunate that they're really expensive. So here's Skycreeper, who is the leader of the Cobra version of the Air Commandos here. And of course one of the nameless Cobras, the Night Vulture. And the G.I. Joe Cloudburst, who I actually kind of teased a while back. And this is the second and last series of Air Commandos figures. Like I said, there's only two of them, two gliders, two pilot figures for them. This is Spirit, the third version of Spirit, I think, and I actually like the sculpt of this guy a bit better than the first one. I know the first one is iconic, you know, with this much more emphasis on this Native American look, but honestly, this is a much better action figure overall, in my opinion. But you know, it's also a later figure sculpt, so the sculptors themselves would probably have learned from that. And of course, he comes with that great Captain America glider. I know I'm making fun of it, but it's kind of strange for the G.I. Joe to have something so colorful. But anyway, his counterpart was the Air Devil. And like I said, the Air Commandos line is really expensive, and some figures in those lines are ridiculously expensive. Even though quite frankly, I thought they were pretty common at one point in time, but I guess not. Because this guy is, I think, the most expensive one. I think he's more expensive than SkyMate. I might be wrong about that. But he comes with some accessories which are, you know, really small and hard to find. But he's also an army builder as well, and he's really cool looking, so he's pretty popular on the aftermarket, so that kind of drives his price up. He also comes with that glider, which is almost like a Python Patrol kind of design, so I guess that kind of goes along with how popular this guy is. And as is tradition, I've left the largest item on my haul list for last. This is something which I've actually teased quite a bit in my reviews over the year, because I actually got this like mid-year, and well, as it's a base, it's very useful for dioramas and the stop-motion videos. And if you didn't know, it is the 1992 electronic G.I. Joe headquarters. And another tradition I'm carrying over from last year is, can you spot and name the 4 G.I. Joes who appear in this headquarters? Well, that's all the time I have right now. Hopefully by next month, February, I'll have a more consistent review upload schedule. And remember to leave a question if you want it answered in my upcoming Q&A 10th anniversary video special. See you then.